Integer exponents. When dealing with integer exponents, there's a few important things to remember. Any number to the 0 power is 1. Negative exponents do not create negative numbers. Negative exponents create fractions and decimals. So when a number is raised to a negative power, you're going to end up with a small number, a decimal or a fraction. To simplify, exponents must be positive. So what you need to do is think of every number as a fraction with a numerator and a denominator. If the exponent is negative in the numerator, you need to move it to the denominator to become positive, and vice versa. If the exponent is negative in the denominator, move it to the numerator to become positive. I think of this as a game. If you think of it as a game, it could be fun. So let's simplify. 5 to the negative third. Make this number a fraction. Well, you can make any number a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. This 5 has a negative exponent in the numerator. So we need to move it to the opposite place, to the denominator to become positive. So 5 to the third. And in the numerator, we're going to put a 1. Not because this denominator is a 1 and we are flip-flopping, but because when we cross over from positive to negative exponents, anything to the 0 power is 1, and negative exponents go beyond that, making that numerator a 1. If you would like to see the full explanation on that, then check out integer exponents rationale. So let's continue this one. 1 over 5 to the third power, so that would be 1 over 125. Be sure when you write the answer, you put the 125 in the denominator. Negative 2 to the negative fourth power. Again, make the number a fraction. The exponent is negative in the numerator, so we're going to move it to the denominator to become positive. Now notice in the first example, 5 was a positive 5, and it stayed positive when we moved it to the denominator. It's the exponent that's changing. So same here. The 2 is negative. It's going to stay negative, but it's the exponent of negative 4 is going to change to a positive 4. So work that out. That's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, 1 over 16. Now here we have a little bit of work to do on top of changing the exponents to positive. We first need to work inside the parentheses. So the first one, 2 plus 2 is 4. So this is 4 to the negative 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 2 to the negative fourth. These are two separate terms. Remember, terms are separated by a positive or a negative. So we have two individual fractions. 4 to the negative 2 and then 2 to the negative fourth. So now change each one of these to be positive, and I am running out of space, so I'm going to kind of come up here. 4 to the negative 2 is negative in the numerator, so it's going to go to the denominator to become positive. Same with 2 to the negative fourth. So it becomes 1 over 2 to the fourth. So now we have 1 over 16 plus 1 over 16, and 1/16 plus 1/16 is 2/16 and simplifies down to 1/8. 7 to the negative 2 over 4 to the negative 1. Our number is already a fraction. 7 to the negative 2 is negative in the numerator, so move it to the denominator to become positive. 4 to the negative 1 is negative in the denominator, move it to the numerator to become positive. So we end up with 4 to the first over 7 squared. So that is 4 over 49. 3.7 to the 0 power. Well, if you can remember that anything to the 0 power is 1, then you have your answer pretty quick. The rules for integer exponents are the same when variables are involved. So b to the negative 2, make it a fraction. B has a negative exponent in the numerator, so move it to the denominator to become positive, 1 over b squared. 4a to the negative third, make this a fraction. Now the biggest mistake I see is that students move the entire 4a to the negative third down to the denominator and make that 3 positive. Understand that the exponent of negative 3 only belongs to the a. There is not a parentheses around the 4 and the a. 4 has an exponent of 1. So since 4 has a positive exponent in the numerator, we're going to keep it in the numerator. The only reason to move from numerator to denominator is if the exponent is negative. So a is going to move down to the denominator and become a cubed. Parentheses 3ab to the negative 2 power, make it a fraction. And in this case, the negative 2 exponent does belong to the 3ab all together in parentheses. So all of it's going to move to the denominator to become positive. So 1 over parentheses 3ab squared. And the last example, 5a squared b to the negative 1, make it a fraction. 5 has an exponent of 1. So ask yourself, is the number or the variable going to stay or go? 5 is going to stay in the numerator. A squared is going to stay in the numerator. And b to the negative first is going to go to the denominator to become positive and become b to the first.